Connor, thanks so much. In the meantime, we want to talk about this with cybersecurity expert Dr. Eric Cole. He joins us. And Eric, thanks for being with us. I know you've been following this extremely closely throughout the course of the day here. Is it premature to ask this question? You tell me, who is winning the AI race? Because up until today, as of today, and I don't follow this closely, I follow it on the margins. I know you follow it very closely. I had not heard of this DeepSeek, the Chinese kind of equivalent of ChatGPT here. So is it safe to say, should we be asking that question, who's winning the AI race? Is it China or the United States after all this news today?
We absolutely should. And this is typically what we see happening in cybersecurity, cyber threats, and technology is the US comes out first. We usually have really good technology that works very, very well. And then China, weeks, months, or years later, always surprises us and comes out with models that are cheaper, faster, and better. So this isn't surprising, but it should be very, very concerning that this is just the beginning of what new technology might come out of China. And as we saw, their models are significantly quicker and faster. When you're talking $5 million versus $100 million, that's a significant price differential in training and building AI models.
So, Eric, I want to ask, though, this is obviously based in China, started by a Chinese startup. Does that mean it's controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, essentially? Do they control what is said, done, and asked on the model?
That's always speculation. We saw that with TikTok, where one of the reasons why it was temporarily banned and then the ban was lifted was because there was always thought that the Chinese government was behind it. The problem is we're never able to prove that. We went in and I dissected down TikTok, and there was no proof that there was any malicious code in there. Looking at this code for the IA models, once again, it looks to be legitimate. So it's one of those that we always think and speculate that the Chinese government is behind it, but we've never been able to find proof that there's actually malicious code or malicious backdoors that are used by the Chinese.
Okay, because obviously we were talking about the differences between ChatGPT and DeepSeek here. You were alluding to the fact that it's more efficient, it's faster, and the like. This was confirmed by Fox today. DeepSeek will not respond to questions related to the Chinese Communist Party. What do you make of that?
That's also typical what we see with Chinese companies, where they're not going to neither confirm nor deny. When I was at the CIA even 30 years ago, we always saw that the Chinese were very, very aggressive, but they were always very covert and held things close to the cuff. So it's not surprising that they're not going to admit one way or another. They're going to keep us guessing. But the reality is, the way these Chinese companies work, whether they're directly influenced or not, it's almost a guarantee that they're working very closely with the government. The government is feeding them information about US companies, and in return, these Chinese companies are helping or supporting the government. So the bigger concern is not on whether there's malicious code, but how influenced are these models? Because with AI, it's all about the data sets that you use. If these Chinese companies are using biased data sets that are heavily influenced or manipulated by the Chinese government to either influence information or data, that's where the real damage comes in if we start using these AI models and they're influencing us in negative ways.
Okay, so we were kind of extolling the virtues, the assets of DeepSeek here. Trump today even said he views DeepSeek as a quote-unquote positive. He said it should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser-focused on competing to win. So how did DeepSeek fall under a malicious cyber attack today? What vulnerabilities were there that led to this? Do we know who did it? And if so, why did they want to do it?
There's still very little information on the actual cause of the attack, but this is very common with high-tech companies. They're so focused on functionality that they overlook security. These AI models are very vulnerable. There's lots of data input. There's lots of ways they can be exploited. And unfortunately, they were so focused on building a robust model that was cheap that they overlooked the security and they overlooked the protection mechanisms. We don't know this for sure, but my guess is that this is probably competitors both within China and with the United States. We don't like admitting it, but there's a lot of corporate espionage and attacks going on using cyber as the weapon. And here's the reality. If you looked at the number of stocks, Nvidia, Intel, and others that crashed today, they're not going to be happy with this new model. So it's not a surprise that somebody's adversely attacking and going after trying to steal their data to get a competitive advantage.
Let's talk about Nvidia. What is Nvidia's role in DeepSeek? How much are they involved? How much does DeepSeek use Nvidia's products here? Are they somewhat symbiotic?
So Nvidia is the underlying hardware that supports DeepSeek, OpenAI, and all these models. So essentially, it's the computers that they run on. The significance here is traditional models that took hundreds of millions of dollars means they needed a lot of Nvidia chips. So it was really good for Nvidia. But DeepSeek, able to build the same models for 5 million, actually really negatively hurts Nvidia because now you need a lot less chips, you need a lot less hardware, and now we can go in and build AI models with less reliance on hardware, which is really counter to what Nvidia's message was. Nvidia's message has always been the key to AI is hardware dependence, and DeepSeek is showing that's not true.
Okay, because I was reading today, I believe Nvidia lost a huge chunk of their market cap after the stock trading day was over, somewhere to the tune of like $600 billion. And so I just wanted to make sure we got that in there. We do have a statement from a spokesperson at Nvidia, and they say this: DeepSeek is an excellent AI advancement and a perfect example of test time scaling. DeepSeek's work illustrates how new models can be created using that technique, leveraging widely available models and compute that is fully export control compliant. Inference requires significant numbers of NVIDIA GPUs and high-performance networking. We now have 3 scaling laws: pre-training and post-training, which continue, and new test time scaling. That seems to be a lot of industry speak here. Would you be able to decipher a lot in that statement? What are they saying there?
What they're saying is when you're looking at AI, there's really 2 key components to it. There's the training, where AI is only good as the data sets. So the more data that you have, the better trained the model can be. And then once you do the training, you then put it into deployment mode where now it learns and runs. Well, that training, where you're feeding it large amounts of data, terabytes upon terabytes of information to train it, that's requiring a lot of CPU cycles and GPU cycles that NVIDIA resides on. And basically, DeepSeek lets you go in and use a lot less hardware in order to do that. So NVIDIA is basically trying to take the high road. But the reality is, if I was at NVIDIA or if I was on the board, I would be very, very scared because DeepSeek is basically saying NVIDIA is less important in the growth of AI.
And just to kind of confirm what I was saying, the New York Times has it: Nvidia plunged 17%, losing $600 billion in market value in its worst day since 2020, as China's AI breakthrough rattled investors. Will we be talking about DeepSeek a lot in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, do you think? And will there be copycats in China trying to mimic what DeepSeek has done, Eric?
The next 30 days is really going to dictate that.
Okay.
Because the real question is, how damaging was the cyber attack? They're not giving us a lot of information. They're playing it close to the cuff, saying it was a denial of service attack. It took down their registration system. But here's the reality. If somebody broke in and stole their data models, stole their intellectual property, stole how they were able to train at cheaper, faster, and quicker, that could completely devastate and take away their market share. So the reality that we have to answer is, what was really taken in the cyber attack? Was their intellectual property taken? If it was, this could be the end of their technology. If it wasn't, they could grow and expand rapidly over the next 2 to 3 years.
All right, we're going to have to leave it at that. Dr. Eric Cole, thank you so much. That was very informative, I think, for viewers, even myself, who are just coming to this concept, this technology, maybe for the first time. Thanks so much.